Hello, Frog fans. Welcome to Postgame Beers podcast, brought to you by our good friends at Hell's Half Acre Stadium Goods. Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate you. We are the Lupton Drinking Club. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. If you're live with us, we're grateful for that at Lupton Drinking Club on YouTube. We also are at Lupton Beers on Twitter, on Instagram, and the TikTok. We'll talk more about TikTok pretty soon.
Yeah,
We've got.
Maybe we can get 2 million followers too.
I think we're close, Jacob. We're close. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get to 2 million without getting to 2.
200's coming up. We've got a full crew tonight. The master of activities, Jacob Sailors at JD Sailors on Twitter. We have our producer, Crazy Ray Cartwright, the knower of some things. We've got the Sultan of Stat, Martin Guerrero, and the uninformed frog, our uninformed horse, Garrett Evans. What's up, buddies? Fellas, it's been a interesting week, TCU Athletics. It's been a roller coaster week. I feel like every day I learn some good news and some bad news, and I don't know how to feel about the program. So we're going to pull back a second. And Jacob, tell me a non-TCU athletics related thing that's happened to you this week.
Oh God. Geez. Putting me on the spot there. And like outside of okay. I got you. Man, it's been a pretty uninteresting week. Okay, how about this? So it's still sports related, but I know we're not like an NBA podcast, but are you guys seeing the courts for the play-in tournament?
I saw the one in Denver, and I wanted to gouge my eyes out.
Are there any that are good?
What's going on with these courts?
Who asked for this? Is there like a section of Twitter out there that's like, damn, these are fire?
Is it TikTok?
Please explain for those of us who don't watch the NBA.
I really don't know. Like, who are they marketing to here?
I haven't seen the kids.
I haven't seen anybody that likes it.
Is this like a comparison to what people feel about TCU's
yeah, actually, I mean,
people hate
okay. It's not. It's worse because like when TCU plays like Kansas or something, there's a lot of people watching it. The friggin' court debate is crazy, but there's like a good percentage of people who are like, I don't know, I kind of like it. But it seems like with these NBA courts, it's unanimous. And the reason behind it is like they want to differentiate the games from a regular NBA game, but isn't there like a million better ways to do that?
I don't know. I just Googled what you're talking about. Holy shit, man. That's pretty
you seen those
out there.
Yeah. Like super irrelevant to anything that, is important to this podcast. But MK, you hit me off guard with that question. It was like, all right, what was the last thing I was thinking about other than TCU?
So can you explain it to an audio audience here that because I've never seen it either.
You've never seen them?
Like Boise State's football field, but on a basketball court.
Yes,
it's exactly like
that. Perfect.
So different colors, different designs.
I think the Nuggets is all blue and it has like a yellow stripe going down the middle.
What do the players think? Oh, okay. I'm looking at them now. Holy moly. Are these real?
They're real, dude. You turn on the Mavs game right now and see what's going on in New Orleans. Like it's horrendous.
I would if I had Bally's.
I mean, pop off their stars.
That's what parents are for, because parents still pay for DirecTV.
I always thought the Oregon basketball, their forest theme was always a little bit more excessive than what TCU has, with the frog fins or whatever.
It's hard to look at. The trees thing was hard to look at. But I think our court in person, I don't have a problem with it.
No, it's not a problem at all.
I just dislike it on TV.
I remember
I think that's because of a white balance with the cameras.
Yeah. I think that's exactly it.
Because I remember I saw the TCU basketball court before we ever played a game on it. Like I went to the stadium and I said, "Holy shit, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." Like
it looks dope.
So anytime I see it on TV now, my mind's already made up of my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Folks, we have some breaking recruiting news. Everyone chimes into Postgame Beers for the most up-to-date
Yeah.
recruiting news and rankings for football and basketball. But I'm going to slide it over to our producer, Crazy Ray, to talk about a women's recruit who signed and committed this week.
Oh, you got me excited. This is like breaking, but okay.
I mean, it still feels, I can't believe it's real. Yeah. TCU women's basketball continues their momentum as they were able to land and sign Haley Cavender, who says she was stepping away from basketball to pursue a pro wrestling career with her twin sister, Hannah. And then decided after a couple of months of doing that she was like, no, I want to play basketball. So she was out in the transfer market, and Mark Campbell has continued his transfer portal dominance and landed Haley Cavender. It all started whenever he was able to get Sedona Prince. She was the one that really kicked all this off, and it was a huge deal because Sedona has a huge social media following. She has over 2 million followers on TikTok and over 200,000 followers on Instagram. So Haley Cavender commits to TCU. She's got almost 750,000 followers on Instagram and over 4 million followers on TikTok.
Damn.
Which, if you added up every TCU sports team social media site, it would equal about half the number of that. Jacob, you are muted.
That is
Sorry.
astronomical
Yeah,
number.
you're right. I'm going to assume the answer is no, but are there any players that even come close in any other sport?
I mean, other than Sedona Prince, no. Like Max Duggan has 68,000 followers on Instagram.
What about LT? Like what? Now I'm curious.
I don't know his follower account, but I can guarantee you it approaches nowhere near that.
Well,
all right, Ray, I have a question for you. So
he doesn't even have a Twitter.
If you guys are worried about her settling in DFW, I just saw a tweet from I guess her
down the
Snapchat.
street.
She was out at Nick and Sam's with Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson. So she's settling in nicely.
They are dating, yes.
That's wild.
I thought that was
Jake
a boyfriend.
Ferguson is a recruiter for TCU now. Is that what you're telling me?
I think that's what I'm hearing.
He's the lead recruiter, I would
All
say.
Right. Well, here's my promise to the podcast and to you personally, Ray. I will hang out at Nick and Sam's because I literally live 30 seconds away from it. So that'll become my new go-to spot. I'll become friends with Jake and Haley, and I'll give you all the inside scoop.
Man, friend of the pod. You're doing it for the pod. Do it for
Let's
the
get
listener.
them on. Let's get them both on.
Yeah,
we're gonna jump into some interesting stuff, soon. But Ray, I've got one more question for you on this topic. The I don't know, the hashtag for TCU football, all steak, no sizzle. I wouldn't describe it as actually following that, but for this recruiting, commitment, is this all sizzle, no steak? Is she going to play actual, basketball? Is it going to be important, or is it truly like, hey, we're going to get more eyes on the program. This is going to help us for further recruiting classes, and that alone is good enough.
So it's both. In this case, she, for her career, split between Fresno State and Miami, has averaged 16 points a game, just over 6 assists a game. And I'll take that every night. I mean, that's really good play from a guard. I don't know if she'll play the 2 or she'll play the 1 next year for TCU basketball, but if they can get that level of production, I mean, that's really good.
You never answered my question in the group chat. Is 16 points per game like the national leading scorer?
It is not the national leading scorer.
Okay. I just need to put it in perspective.
Women's basketball is on the rise. There are really good athletes across the board in the sport. Where this really helps TCU is I can't imagine what their NIL evaluation is now. That came out earlier this week for TCU women's basketball, and they had 2 of the top 10 players already in NIL evaluation in Sedona and Jaden. Haley's got to be at the top, if not right by it. I mean, I think of her as like in the same category as Angel Reese from LSU and Olivia Dunn, both from LSU.
So my question is, how does that specifically help TCU versus just their own personal brand?
So it helps TCU in that they have such a following. They get so many eyeballs on them that it's a, marketing windfall for TCU that you can market your school through these athletes and generate more revenue for. I was surprised to learn in researching what the revenue was like for women's basketball at TCU that they generated $7 million in revenue last year.
Okay.
And you're just going to only widen, add more to that, which then in turn affects the entire department and the other programs across TCU.
But how so specifically? So women's basketball, say they make 14 million. How does that resonate throughout like other sports?
It's money that, it's like, they say everyone says football pays for everything, right? Where if football's not happening to front the bill on this, right, there's more money available there that can go to other programs, not necessarily like, reinvested back into football. You can reinvest it back into women's basketball so you can continue that money train. But then it can also help prop up your equestrian team, your rifle team, your beach volleyball team.
Or your Lupton Stadium, perhaps?
Or your Lupton Stadium,
Okay.
Send some revenue money. The athletic department controls where the revenue is going, right?
So essentially, if women's basketball can better self-support themselves, that frees up more football spillover into other sports. Is that what you're saying?
I would think in theory, yes.
I think it might even.
Sorry, go ahead, Martin.
I think it might even go a step further than that because in college athletics, not a lot of sports make money, right? It's football is making like 80% majority of your athletic spending. Men's basketball and then women's basketball is right there. Well, not right there, but they're profitable. They bring in money. So Ray was saying, what you showed me, Ray, they were a top 25 revenue. They brought in top 25 revenue in what, all of college basketball?
In college basketball, between the two sports, they're 23rd in the country in generating revenue.
And women's basketball has not particularly been a good product. So with this, with these large social media followings and with the team actually being good, they could build, I guess, a monster as far as women's basketball. So not only could it be paying for itself, but also other women's sports like women's lacrosse. They could add that maybe down the line with it now being sponsored by the Big 12. And when you add more sports, you are growing the school. You're getting more eyeballs on the school and more people interested in going to that school, which is really, all about.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And what I'm thinking is, so we had Jeremiah Donati on before the football season, and he was pretty eager about coming on again. So I'd love to have him on and get his take on kind of how this all funnels out.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to hear his thoughts on it. I mean, he has to be doing cartwheels in his office right now.
We've got a very we appreciate, Damon, you joining in the chat. Thanks for chiming in. You got a lot of comments that are I'm kind
very
of
active, and we appreciate it.
No, I'm having to mute myself because I'm laughing at them. But one of the comments is, imagine Bryce Harper playing for the Frogs his draft year.
No, just the Frog.
The Frog.
This is the Frog, singular.
Yeah,
would this be a good analogy? And I made a comment back that if Bryce Harper had 1 million followers, maybe. It's just a different world, like.
It is an interesting question because I remember reading about Bryce Harper in Sports Illustrated when he was 12. So before social media was a thing, Bryce Harper was already, gaining a lot of eyeballs, on print media or whatever.
So think of Bryce Harper as like a generational talent. And I don't think Haley Cavender is she's not like Caitlin Clark. Like Caitlin Clark runs women's college basketball right now. She is incredible.
Yeah, I've heard of her.
She's on the really Allstate commercials now, I think.
Oh, is she really?
State Farm.
State Farm.
Yeah. So she's with Mahomes and Maato.
Rogers.
Yeah. Mahomes and Maato.
Man, Travis Kelce's got a lot of names now.
Anyway.
Well, that's certainly interesting. Yeah, I didn't really know what to think about it. I knew she was big on TikTok or whatever, but like from afar, it's pretty safe to have an opinion that she's big, not because of basketball necessarily.
Okay, so think of this like this. So last year, TCU women's basketball made headlines across the NCAA. They were in the New York Post, People Magazine, MSNBC, Yahoo, all because they had a brawl on their court whenever they got in a huge fight. Well, this year, they're making the same headlines, the same publications, but they're doing that for recruiting.
So no WWE on the court this time?
No, hopefully no WWE on the court. No people's elbows being thrown.
So here's what I want to know, Ray. If you get a chance to interview Haley Cavender, I would like you to first ask Haley. A lot has been made of this Baylor TCU game. What are your thoughts on the new trophy of the Blue Bonnet Battle?
Yeah, the burning question,
that the student governments have designed.
MK, just a little sidebar real quick. I do know for a fact that her final 3 schools, it was between TCU, Miami, going back to Miami, or Baylor.
Oh, God.
Hell yeah.
So she has an opinion on it.
So, MK, do you want to start off? I think we should cover the blue bonnet crap and just get this out of the way. Do you want to just kind of set up the segment?
Everyone's aware we have a new name for the TCU Baylor annual matchup. It's been going on for 118 years at this point, and the student governments get together and decide, hey, fellas, let's come up with a new name that works for everybody. Instead of the revivalry, or maybe even something like as simple as TCU Baylor, they come up with a new name that no one's ever heard of, no one's ever thought of, and unfortunately, people are upset about the new name for this annual game, which I'm afraid that we're never going to get rid of, because it's going to come up with the official TCU signage and trophy and all that stuff is the Blue Bonnet Battle.
Blue Bonnet Battle.
The first thing I thought about was meh. That was my first thought. I was like, really? That's all we got? What do you guys think when you first heard of the Blue Bonnet Battle?
Okay,
this was actually released. This was what do you say? It was
X'd about.
It started making waves, I think, last week.
I thought it was
the
joke.
Texas game. Yeah, no. Okay, so yeah, when I first heard about it, I didn't really pay much attention to it because I thought, well, this is so dumb. This is never going to gain legs. Like, I'm just going to ignore this and move on with my life. And then I find out that the governments are involved, the student governments, the administration. It becomes like an official thing that they're going to ram down our throats. And it makes no sense to me. So now I'm like, damn it. Now I have to actually invest some emotion in this. And
what's the comment?
Listen, all right. So this has been bugging me last couple of days, as it has most people. I just go to Twitter and you'll see. But I'm thinking about this, and it's like the Blue Bonnet Battle. Okay. It sounds like a name. It sounds like pretty much the only name that can make it through so many levels of red tape and just kind of milquetoasting it all the way to, make sure everybody's on board and approves it, and it doesn't offend anybody. And okay, so there's a couple other things too. One, how can you introduce something that's been around for 118 years?
That's
Like,
that's my
the
biggest pet
absolute
peeve of this whole thing.
audacity.
It's so funny.
The audacity of them to tweet introducing. No, this is like, who do you think you are?
Jacob, all I could think of, like looking at the two student governments, is that meme of that kid in the mirror. It's like, you're going to get in there and you're going to make this about you.
Who do they think they are? Introducing something. And then, okay, so TCU Baylor. For TCU, Baylor is the one true hated rival we have. We have rivalries with Tech. We have rivals with SMU. But we hate Baylor. And when Baylor's good, when Baylor's good and their fans actually care about their football program, they hate us back. And you're going to market this rivalry, which both schools legit hate each other, with a fucking flower
Made of arts and crafts from like the local Hobby Lobby in Waco.
Dude, yeah, it literally looks like it was thrown together. And
So
I love the comment of it. It said it looked like you had a semester-long project due that you did the night before it was due.
That's what it looks like.
Jacob, I think you were talking about the comment from our guy at CBS, Shehan Jayaraja. He was like, "This is it's like two student governments came together to come up with a name that would be approved by the administrations at both schools, right?
Yes.
It's the most generic, bland,
focus group tested.
It has politics smeared all over it,
and on the back. That's actually politics.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Both student governments have their logos in place and on the back of the trophy.
So why are people so mad about this? Well, because it reeks of politics, which is the reason why people like sports so much, is to get away from politics.
Yeah, politics,
right? At least in part.
Sports is my escape.
Yes. So
that's why stuff like, what is it? Minnesota and Iowa have like the brown jug. It's like, come up with something stupid for
or
once.
nothing.
Yeah.
There were some cool ideas out
fine without it.
it.
The rivalry's been fine without all this government crap getting involved. What's the payoff? What is the payoff for them? To put it on their resumes so they can go get a job in DC?
Is the best year of the rivalry the year before Browse got fired, when
2015.
there was so
2015 was
hate
peak
between GP, and you could tell, it's like talking about the school down south, like he wouldn't even name the school.
That was when it was.
Wasn't that the ice monsoon?
Yes, 2015. There was like, we had a lot of injuries that year. We didn't have the best year. We still made the Alamo Bowl, still won the Alamo Bowl. But Baylor was trying to win the conference and get into the college football playoff. And we took them down in like one of the most like epic NFL film settings that you could ever even dream of. And the hate between the two sidelines, just it transcends anything that the freaking student governments can get involved in.
At the height of our anger yesterday, we sent out a tweet. Give us your best alternate name for the TCU Baylor game. Should I read some of those?
You should. And I actually kind of feel bad that I didn't go through and mark, because, okay, so when I sent this tweet out, and for like the first hour, nobody responded. And I said, well, I guess this is a dud. Well, now we have like a billion names to choose. I love that. There was actually a Baylor fan that chimed in today and said, wow, there's like 50 names in here that are already better than anything they came up with.
I've got a name for y'all before y'all read it.
Go for it.
Horny McBearface.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's still better than Blue Bonnet Battle. Get the flower out of it.
Dude,
that's what pisses me
off.
off.
And Blue Bonnets more known around the hill country down towards Austin,
dude.
Than
like you have to like
between.
Like if you want to like drive and like get your Blue Bonnet pictures, you have to like fucking travel to go do that, and then they're all dead in football season anyways.
I'm trying to think what makes me more mad is looking at the trophy, which is just atrocious, or actually the fact that it's bringing two fan bases that hate each other together on hate week.
No. And then you have Aranda out there saying, I just really respect the TCU program and Coach Sonny Dykes. And what the fuck are we doing?
So in this conference, we now have a sunflower showdown and a blue bonnet battle.
I don't know much about the sunflower showdown, but I hope that at least has some historical ties to it.
I'm sure
And
it does.
it was organic and the fans approved of it versus
It makes sense.
having their student governments ram it down our throats.
Do you
Here we go.
think that this was a conspiracy driven from the conference?
Well, and that's the other thing. And I'm sorry, MK, I do want to
rebrand
get
it?
to these names, but what's I don't understand the payoff. Like, is there money to be gained from this?
Since
I
this
just
is
don't
a
get it.
protected rivalry now in the Big 12, they felt like they had to name it something.
A bunch
No,
of
they
guys
didn't.
can sit around and shake hands and say, "Look, we did that." That's
And I thought, so Drake Toll is a very controversial figure in the purple parts of town. But I thought when he said, just because you put effort into something doesn't make it good.
Yeah.
All right,
MK.
let's go through some of these.
Some better names that we've seen proposed from our guy Zachary Sim down in Texas. The Crusades. All right. Private School Royale.
The Crusades is a badass name. And okay, I'm sorry, I cut you off there because you were probably going to say the Holy War. So the Holy War, you can't really do that because of BYU and or who is it? BYU,
Utah.
BYU and Utah. Yeah.
Which is
all right.
which
I don't
is back
understand
now.
I don't understand the religious ties to Utah. But another point I wanted to make real quick was is the drive behind doing this to permanently distance from any kind of religious ties to the rivalry?
Feels
I
like
have
it.
heard that was the reason why TCU did not want the revivalry.
Yeah.
Right.
I heard those
That's the name.
grumblings. I don't know.
And
how
real
much
quick
that's
on
true, but
real quick on the rivalry, I really didn't like that name. It's hard to say. And
It is.
I've just been fine with TCU Baylor because the rivalry speaks for itself. You don't need to market it with a catchy name. Like TCU Baylor says it all to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it just makes me think of, man, that was peak
Right.
rivalry.
Right.
I
When you
just
say
think of
TCU
2014 through 2017.
Exactly. And that's the thing. When you say TCU Baylor, it speaks for itself.
Mhm.
All right, let's go back to the names though.
Clint Foster had a whole list.
Yep.
Some of our favorites. The Kalachi Kerfuffle,
Funny.
Funny.
Pecan Clash, the Arson Bowl, pretty good.
I
Very
like that.
specific. That would have never been
like that.
approved by the admins. The Altar Call Bowl Brawl. I also heard another one called the Altercation.
Yeah, that was from Granger
Yeah.
Tally.
was pretty
That's a
good.
good one. Altercation. I like that.
Riverside Riot, Communion Confrontation. We've got, let's see, Battle of the Blessed. Okay, from our guy Scott Gray.
Elizabeth Gleaton says the battle of good versus evil, which
And
now
then
it's all
yeah,
evil.
funny.
And then you're debating like who's who.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, who's
which
good in this?
perspective- yeah, then you can argue about who's who, right? I like that one.
Like right
The
now,
family
are we the
Bible?
evil ones?
The family Bible.
I actually, the more I think about this one, the more that's becoming my favorite. The battle of good versus evil.
MK, how about the Motel Bible?
Motel Bible. All right. The William Dixon says the wife just said battle at the brimstone or battle at the pearly gates.
So he had a few of himself. The Kalashi Clash, the Conflict of 1899, the Rumble at the Rivers.
I like the Conflict of 1899.
I like
That's
that
a
one
good
too.
one.
If you
Check
wanted,
stop.
if you wanted distance from any religious ties, there's a lot of good.
And
ones
that brings history into it.
Uh-huh.
Check Stop
Mhm.
Confrontation by TCU Hypnotoad.
It's good.
The Battle of I-35. This is from Anna.
Ben Herman, our buddy in Oklahoma, who's been sending us tickets. Thank you, Ben. The Baptist Beatdown. I like that.
Yep.
I
I
don't
don't know
know
if
if- I
Baylor
don't know
would
if-
be on board.
Yeah.
No. It probably get installed in the house.
Yeah. So, does it get rejected back to committee?
All right, so this one's off the cuff. I just came up with. What about the Christian sacrifice?
All right, if we're gonna go religion, I say the Crusades.
Yeah.
If you're gonna distance from religion, then I like the Battle of Good versus Evil.
Is it the Crusades with an S or just the Crusade, like the singular?
Okay, yeah, sure, we can. Yeah, Crusade, that's fine.
I'm really liking the arson altercation. I like that a lot.
Okay. 90 miles of hate
surprised.
from Is this the real Horned Frog, Larry?
All right,
The real
some
one.
comments from our
No, this is a
Let's see,
fake.
in the
Oh, it's
chat.
Horned Frog, Larry, not Iowa State guy. But 90 Miles of Hate, Highway to Hell, and the Arson War. I like
Damon
90
from the
Miles of
chat
Hate.
says the Battle of Sunday School.
That's good.
Why not just battle the Brazos?
Are we on the Brazos though? That's the only thing.
Yeah.
We used to be.
It's close enough.
Woo, that was a
When
nice.
TCU was in Pecan Plantation, the Brazos was right there.
I enjoyed that that little sound off. I don't think I've done that since the Bryles hire.
The Brazos Trinity conflict. I don't know.
All right.
Anyway, it was quite a week.
So how do you think? Hold on, real quick. So I kind of lobbied to the Anon Army because I think most of them are students to like spread the word through the student section to chant "trash that trophy." So my question is, how do you think it'll be received when they make like a formal announcement and they bring out the student government so they can get clapped for and cheered for? Like, do you think enough people, like Twitter is kind of a microcosm, but not necessarily representative of the mass public? Do you think people will care? They'll just generically cheer? Or do you think
I think we scared student government away from anybody wanting a picture with that. So
you don't think they're both going to come out at halftime?
No,
dude, that's not how that's not how politicians work.
What I'm telling you is
politicians love photo ops.
They double down and then they just wait. They outweight you. You're mad about it, and they outweight you, and they win.
I would put money down that no one's going to be out there except football players. And when TCU holds that up, you're going to have a couple players that hold it up like they are enjoying holding the trophy.
Will they even hold it up?
Did y'all see the quote from Griffin Kell today in the presser?
I guess it's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's pretty cool.
I guess.
Anyway,
you know, if they took off the wood and made it only a shield, I might be on board. You know, because it has arm straps in the back.
Make it like Captain America's shield.
Exactly. I might be on board with that.
I wonder if it's removable from the wood.
MK.
I wonder if I could hold it like a shield.
You want to read Martin's suggestion in the chat?
The shootout at Twin Peaks.
There's a Twin Peaks by TCU now.
It has a deep meaning.
Yeah, you got to go to Google for that one.
Oh, that was good. All right, so everyone hates the Bluebonnet battle.
Yeah, thanks everybody for all the suggestions. That was overwhelming.
That was a lot of fun.
But to cover up that bad PR, TCU dropped some new uniforms or a new helmet today. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, okay. So you want to talk about the helmets? I like them generally. I wonder what they would look like if the Horned Frog wasn't so round. You know, if they kind of made it a little longer, a little shorter, just a little.
Mm-hmm. Should be a little bigger too. Wouldn't you like to see a bigger Horned Frog?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, MK, what do you think? MK probably has the best fashion out of all of us. So
I just wish the red on the sticker matched the red of the face mask. I don't understand why it's two different shades of red.
I don't even think I noticed that.
But that's the same. So the logo is the same one that they've given to. Did they do that to Home Field or another company? It's the same one.
I feel like it's a Charlie Hustle.
Okay, Charlie Hustle.
Or any other companies we won't mention other than our friends at Hell's Half Acre Stadium Goods.
The logo is the same one that they've given to whatever company, right? So that didn't change. It was just the colors, and they turned it into the spit blood. I guess I don't know. How do I say this without, kind of going off the deep end here? I'm just skeptical. I don't know. I'm skeptical of the release of some of these things, like we've been kind of, talking about in terms of whether it's the Bluebonnet battle and they release this trophy that everyone hates, or a new release of text messages from Kaz Kazadi, based on what his time at Baylor. And I'm not going to talk about that. That's not the point of the podcast.
Okay. So I didn't know if I hesitated earlier because we didn't discuss going into that before, but I'm not going to get into it. I just want to be on the record saying like it's not good. I just want to state my position there. It's not good.
It's hard to even go into because you're just like, I'm reading this and I'm like, I feel like it's not good, but I don't know all the details. I don't know all the background stuff. Who knows if TCU admin knew this ahead of time? I don't
know because those
whatever.
the text just got released. So
every piece of good news that has come out this week, whether it's Cavender, which I know she was not associated with any of this stuff. I'm not saying she was. Whether it was the football helmet, the flame video, which was so badass. I'm skeptical. I'm a skeptical Horned Frogs fan. And we really, we don't want to turn people off in terms of, we've had Donati on, we've had players on, we've had, other coaches from other sports on. And so the last thing I want to do is be like, hey, here's all this terrible stuff about the Frogs. And we'll never get another great guest,
no, but at the same time, like just for, I guess, authenticity on our part, we can't just, be mouthpieces for PR, right? Like we're not affiliated with the school. We should cover them fairly. If something's bad, we should be able to say something's bad. Right.
And that's the thing. It's like, I don't even know this week has been so up and down. It's like, there's information that I don't have. Right. It could be good. It also could be very bad.
And it's also okay to issue an opinion based on information we have and say, maybe we don't have all the information, but based on what we know, it's bad.
Yeah.
Or it's good,
And there's no way to come up with helmets in the last 24 hours and be like, oh my gosh, we came up with these so we can push down all the bad news like that. That I understand that doesn't happen. This stuff is in planning for weeks and months, and they figure out the appropriate time to roll this stuff out. So I don't want to turn everything negative against, the Frogs.
You're right. I mean, they had this stuff planned in advance, like last week with the, I call them the grimaces, the all purple jerseys. Mm-hmm. Like that wasn't decided just because, oh my God, we're losing and people might not come to the games. Let's throw a Hail Mary out there and try to draw interest. And same thing with these helmets.
But the release of them is decided.
Yeah, but
they do
uniform releases every week. I mean, we unveiled a new helmet in the beginning of the season.
The grimaces weren't released till last Thursday, right?
So you're saying like the
timing, the timing of it could be
those decisions can be changed throughout the season depending on like what's going on.
Yeah, I guess if you get Kaz Kazadi text on a Monday night, you might move up your helmet release to Tuesday morning.
Yeah, we'll have We'll do it and coincide with the Sunny press conference that he does every Tuesday morning.
Yeah. No, I mean,
look, if they want to wear the grapes more often, I'm all for wearing the grapes as often.
I've been calling for it for years. I didn't think they would actually do it.
I loved it. All that to say, we've had some good news. We've had some weird and bad news this week, and I feel conflicted as a Horned Frog fan, right? As a fan, that knowing that there's things happening in the background that I don't have all the information about and I don't feel good about, while at the same time trying to celebrate, holy crap, this helmet is badass, and do I want to buy a sweatshirt that, apparently wasn't even able to be filled by the TCU bookstore because they ran out of orders so fast. But
so let me ask you this. How would you feel if everything was the same, except our record was whatever, how many games we played, like 7-3?
It's a good question. It's an honest question. I mean, because
winning to an extent cures all, right?
But here's the thing. So we lost the national championship by 100 points. And then what was it? Within a week and a half, they announced the OC change.
Yep.
And I didn't feel great about that. And that was the best I felt about TCU football in a long time.
Yeah, but okay, true. But don't you think, well, in a way, isn't that kind of an extreme example? I don't know. I mean,
there's been times that you're right. There's been times in the past where a player will, you find out he's been arrested, or there's a domestic violence issue in the background and he's held out for the game. And you're like, all right, how do I feel about this? Do I continue to cheer as much as I have for the team, or do I hold back and try to, do I judge this? Do I, try to make a statement, and not go to the game or whatever? And I think those things have popped up periodically here and there.
Well, we had this debate too, right? Like when we did the Kendall Briles episode, we talked about how does this affect your support of the program? And ultimately where I landed was, Chandler Morris doesn't deserve my boycott. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can say my boycott doesn't mean anything, but just philosophically, Kendall or Chandler Morris and the players didn't have any say on who their OC is. Right. Exactly. So they'd still deserve me in the stands, putting up my 3 for third down and doing whatever super minuscule part, I contribute. Right.
You're right.
Just on a philosophical level,
But like to your point, I mean, I think obviously, the more wins you have, the darker tint of those purple glasses you're wearing are going to be.
Just look at Georgia. Like Georgia had dudes killing people after the national championship game, but they were still drunk off champagne. You think Georgia fans were like, man, what's the problem with our program? No, they were like, bring us more natties.
That was the problem. They were drunk on champagne.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did y'all listen to the call in from Tyler, who called into Dabo Sweeney's radio show?
You mean?
Do you think that was a plant? That he wanted to go on that rant, and they had someone because
if it was Dabo wasn't in on it.
I don't know. I think my ears are up to that. I think that dude was a plant. They let him go on forever.
I don't know about that, but since you brought up Dabo, and it does kind of relate to this. So Jimbo Fisher was fired.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on, they actually did it?
Are y'all being serious right now?
That is the absolute dream, to get fired and then get paid like $80 million.
Oh my God, dude! Look,
dude,
me and my coworkers.
I want that.
Me and my coworkers talk about all the time. Like, I just need to get a golden parachute. That's my career goal. Like, I mean, rise to a level, suck at it, and get a golden parachute.
The only reason you're still on the show, Garrett, is because we can't fire you because your buyout money.
Dang it. Dang it.
Yeah, I mean, you still have 9 years left on your deal. Your new year.
I know, it's the golden handcuffs, boys.
But, okay, so...
before we move off of Ed Orgeron, I just want to... Have you heard...
We never got on him.
Oh, okay. No, okay. I want to bring him up.
Okay, Ray, go ahead. I'll finish my point later.
Y'all were talking about buyouts, and it made me think of Ed Orgeron. What he said whenever he got fired from LSU. They told him, we've got 17 million. You've got 17 million left on your contract. We're going to give to you. Orgeron told him, what time do you want me to leave? And what door do you want me to walk out of, brother?
Yeah. That Ed Orgeron, man.
Damon asks, what if A&M goes for Sonny Dykes?
Well, so here's the thing about that. Sonny Dykes was just signed to an extension this offseason. A&M, I know like oil money's fake. It's all monopoly money and stuff, but they still got $75 million paid to Jimbo.
And they're going to pay their remainder to coach Gary Patterson down to College Station.
They're not bringing in Gary Patterson, and Martin can explain. Awesome. Martin has a really good take on Gary Patterson and why TCU was the perfect job for him and it wouldn't work. Martin, do you want to go into that? Because Gary Patterson's name's coming up for like UCLA, A&M, maybe Arkansas, but I don't think he goes. Maybe I'm wrong, but I like what Martin said. Martin, go ahead.
I mean, I don't remember specifically what I said, but he's kind of weird and he wants to do things his own way. And, at a big school like A&M where they can't get out of their own way, they're not going to give him the reins to everything. So he's not going to go somewhere where he's not going to have full control.
And that's precisely the point that I had in mind. But also, too, Gary's like anti-NIL and all that. Like, he just wants to coach old school football on a dusty field and, do, like you said, Martin, do things his way. So I want to say that Sonny Dykes is not really an opportunity because I don't think A&M, as deep as their pockets are going to spend that much money on a buyout. I don't know exactly what it is, but I started thinking about Dabo Swinney. because I saw today that his buyout is only like $5 million. And going back to, you kind of hear the frustration in Dabo at Clemson right now. He may be looking for a fresh start somewhere.
Yeah, that sounds like a good fit, but A&M doesn't. It's like they're allergic to hiring a good football coach.
No, but they're not allergic to hiring a name, and Dabo's
Right,
a name.
right. Yeah, that's the thing, is that he's a name. Yeah, they usually go for a name. I was thinking maybe like Dion.
So I don't like Dion there because the first thing Dion would do is show up and he's canceling Midnight Yell like day one. And Dion works at a program like Colorado that has nothing to lose and just say, all right, Dion, man, it's your show.
Yeah.
He gets down to College Station. They're going to say, all right, Dion, welcome to our show. Here's how it's going to be done. And Dion's going to say, hell no. And it's
He'll
not
get
gonna
all
work.
he'll get all the Yell leaders some super cool sunglasses.
Well, Dion is his own tradition. He's going to create his own, and A&M I don't think would.
That's exactly my point, right? Like
Could
Colorado.
you picture Dion saying "whoop"?
No, dude, he's not. Like Jimbo was, to his credit, was a good sport about all that, even though he was visibly annoyed with all that crap at A&M, like when he first got hired. But Dion's not going to be a good sport. It's Dion's show. And Colorado gave him that freedom because they had nothing to lose.
Yeah, I read some article the other day that he's like not coming out with Ralphie or something. The team is not coming out with Ralphie
Because he's scared of the Bison.
right?
And they said, yes, sir, Mr. Dion.
Do you
Whatever
blame
want."
him?
He's not trying to
Bison
change
are
it up. He's just
unpredictable.
yeah.
So
He's
I would keep an eye on. I think the favorites right now. I saw the list earlier, but Dabo Swinney was not even on the list. But I'd say keep an eye on that.
I would go with Dan Lanning with Oregon, depending on what they do.
So I think of all the people that have been asked about it, Dan Lanning kind of had the strongest denial, not a denial.
Yeah,
If
he's
they
got
actually-
unfinished business there in Oregon.
Well, still,
He's
yeah,
like,
of course
he's
does.
like, I'm paid well. I don't want to move
until they don't make
leave.
until they don't make the playoff, and then things change.
Yeah.
If
Well-
they actually wanted to hire a good coach, I think they'd get the guy from UTSA, Jeff Traylor.
But that would be the smart move.
Exactly.
Okay.
He's not going to do that.
Martin, question: If you had a lower level coach that jumped up to A&M, like Traylor or what's it? Was it Kinney or Kin or at Texas State? Something. I mean, he would never go to A&M. I'm just saying. Would Patterson take a? Sorry, A&M would never hire him.
Oh, okay. That's a different story. Well,
would
they
Patterson,
might.
Would Patterson take
they
a
were
lower
smart.
level job, or is he looking for something larger?
I think Patterson would be looking for a similar position that he had at TCU, maybe something like Baylor.
Jesus.
That would be wild. That would be wild.
Could you imagine?
And Baylor's going to let Gary do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
Oh, they
Man.
would.
Also,
Man.
That would be one hell of a bluebonnet battle right there.
Yeah. You want to make a statement in the Bluebonnet battle.
now I'll
Yeah.
call it the Blue Bonnet Battle for sure.
You have Gary on one side, you'll have a Bryles on the other. Man, it is
baby.
back.
I can't believe I walked away as Martin drops a bomb like Gary Patterson to Baylor.
Bring back Art as a offensive analyst. Why the hell
Oh
not?
my
Let's-
God. Could you imagine? There's no way. No.
All right, so I was thinking about this too.
Oh, okay. Hey, real quick on this topic. Sorry, keep that thought.
Yep.
Jacob Damon had a great comment that I just
Bring
want
it
to
up, pull it up.
So let's say Kleiman takes a bigger job at
Is it this one?
yeah. Well, so Kleiman goes to let's say
Michigan
Michigan
State.
State or
Michigan when Harbaugh goes to NFL.
Michigan when Harbaugh goes to the Bears, whatever that is. And then you have an opening at Kansas State. That would be a perfect opening for Gary Patterson. Great comment,
Yep.
Damon.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thought. I like that. So thinking about this A&M thing and even extending it to somewhere like Texas, is there another sport where an organization's success is so heavily weighted with the culture of that organization? Like you have donors, high money donors that have their hands so involved in the operations of a college athletics program. And you've seen it all the time, like with Texas having the best facilities, all the money in the world, but they still can't win. Same with A&M. And I was just thinking, the culture of a program can make or break it much more than, say, like an NBA team or an NFL team, where you just get some good players and a good coach, and there's not really all those outside influences like there is in college sports.
I would say the Dallas Cowboys.
The only
have
other
those
comp,
outside
I was going to
influences.
say, sorry, Martin, go ahead.
I would say the Dallas Cowboys have those outside influences.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Your only comp would be the Jones family. That's all I can really think of.
But at least the Jones family itself has won three Super Bowls, and they're in contention every year. You know, it's not like the Cowboys are a bad football organization. They have bad luck in the playoffs. And you could attribute that to culture or whatever, but you know, they win 10 plus games every year.
Okay, I've got one for you. Enron.
No follow-up?
That was a good one. Y'all know it.
Nope, we're laying out.
Nope. I'm gonna reduce that
That's
layout.
the longest layout we've ever had on this show.
Y'all
And there's
wanted
been
an
times where
example.
we needed layouts,
and
but
Enron is a good
shoot.
example.
Probably,
Dude, it's funny to talk about like the A&M culture issues and then also the Texas culture issues, and they keep kind of falling on like off their own shoelaces all the time. And that's kind of what makes this year so frustrating with Texas is it's all coming together for them on their last year in this stupid conference, and they're doing what they're doing, and it makes me so mad.
Damon with another good point. Soccer and EPL. Like you think of like Man U or Chelsea.
yeah, I mean, I think with soccer, especially in the international leagues, it's who has the biggest pocketbook. You know, it's not necessarily attributed to culture as much as it is just buying championships. But because, I mean, you don't see teams that are kind of middle of the road payroll wise rising up and winning a league. It's you can correlate
Leicester
roster.
City.
That was one time.
AFC
Anyway.
Richmond.
MK, welcome back. You walked away while I was asking my very philosophical question, but Ray torpedoed it. So we are 53 minutes into the pod, and we haven't mentioned the Texas game or baseball.
Real quick, have you been to A&M? Have you guys been to A&M game?
Not yet.
Yes, sure have.
I mean, it's quite an experience. It's pretty fun.
It is. There's a lot of pop and circumstance going on. It's a lot of fun.
do they have
Never
bubble guns?
tailgated at a A&M game though.
Do they have what, Martin?
Do they have those bubble guns?
That's baseball.
They don't have the bubble guns, unfortunately.
No. They say like first down.
God.
All right, so the Frogs did play a football game on Saturday. Did you guys?
Yeah, football's becoming less and less relevant, but we're 54 minutes in. I guess we should address it.
Dude, MK, this is how relevant football has become to me. I opted to watch TCU volleyball instead of football.
Well, you're in the strong minority on that, but
Yeah.
I get your point. Frogs were down 26-6 at halftime. Kind of a rough first half. They go on and score 20 in the fourth quarter and actually make it a game, only lose 29-26. For whatever reason, there were some halftime adjustments by the defense. Offense picked up where we thought they would be all season, in the second half. And we're like, wow, this is the team that we were kind of expecting to score points and move the ball. And they held Quinn Ewers to basically nothing in that second half. I left disappointed because we didn't win. However, I know people want to make fun of the moral victory, but I didn't feel that bad, fellas. I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
And
Hold on.
I did. I did.
Hold on. So credit to TCU for not giving up. But more importantly, big shout out to Texas for laying down in the fourth quarter. That was a fake comeback, MK.
Dude, yeah, I think of it as like in basketball, whenever a team's up big and then another team makes a run and gets back into it and kind of closes the gap late.
And the winning team has to put their starters back in. And
Yeah.
that was exactly my thought too. It was a fake comeback, MK.
That's fine.
Well,
We didn't lay down. We could have gotten rolled.
So I was going to say we could have given up. We could have lost by 50 points, but they did hang in there. But I mean, that aside, there's still enough moments in that game that were so frustrating personally that I still walked away without feeling good about the run in the fourth quarter. I think a lot of that stems from coming away from inside the 3-yard line with no points and throwing a fade route on fourth down inside your own 3.
So I want to be clear. Like you said, walking away feeling good. I was expecting to walk away feeling like crap because we were going to get beat by 40.
Yeah.
So when the game is by 3 points, I didn't feel worse or better. I just felt, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like I don't feel worse about the team, right?
They ended up getting the result that they've been getting all year, which is good enough to be in the game, not good enough to win it.
MK,
Yeah, that's a good
you
way
said
to put it,
that
honestly.
you were going into the game thinking they were going to get curb stomped.
Yeah, I did.
I was around campus all day leading up to it, and there was a buzz. I felt like, people really thought that TCU was going to pull that game out and win the game.
I thought we'd be competitive, not in the way we ended up being competitive, but kind of in the way it was in the first quarter. We go into the second quarter, it was 7-6. We had some things go against us there in the second quarter, and Texas kind of opened it up. But we really lost the game with 51 seconds left when on the first play of the drive, Josh Hoover throws an interception, and Texas goes down to score, and we go into half 26-6.
Yep, 100%. And man, I don't understand why we're doing that. I just wanted to hold on to the ball, take it to the locker room. And I don't know why we're putting our freshman quarterback in a situation there at the end of the half to just airmail it out there and just hand the ball right back to Texas. It didn't seem necessary to me. But again, it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I will say
I don't get that decision.
In defense of the offense, I've criticized TCU in the past for in similar situations, more so with more time on the clock, but just kind of sitting on the ball and not being aggressive. Mm-hmm. So I can't be too hard on him for being aggressive.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Definitely argue in that situation, In
that situation, I was really just wanting to say, okay, we survived this half of football.
I think the bigger key there is to not have a backup quarterback.
This equates to the discussion about going for it on fourth down in football. And it's like, there's all this statistical analysis of, once you get past the 50, it's going to be, overall positive for you. It depends on your personnel. It depends on your coaching staff. It depends on what play you have drawn up. It's the same thing in this case. It's like I yelled at Gary Patterson nonstop for not going for it. When you have 3 minutes left in the first half and you're like, why are you downing the football? Why are you running the ball when you could possibly score? In this case, yes, I want to be aggressive, but a minute left, Jacob, to your point, you have a backup quarterback. Is that the smart thing to do? Probably not, and so it's not about going for it or not going for it, but it's about everything else that you have involved with your team,
Yes. And I like your point there because those analytics, those simulations or whatever, that's based on like 10,000 scenarios and what the overall best outcome is. But when you're facing one particular scenario, you have to take into account kind of game flow, personnel, and those kind of things. The problem with Gary was his overall philosophy was conservative. Right? Like he would sit on the ball with the Trayvon Boykin offense.
Yeah, you're right.
So
You're right.
yeah, so he deserved all the criticism he got, which was not enough in my opinion, but that's another story.
And now we have an aggressive offense with a Josh, Hoover leading the pack.
Which,
It's like,
But
going back to your point about analytics, yeah, if you look at 10,000 scenarios, it's a good idea to go for it here or be aggressive here. But when you have this specific personnel, then you have to manage that accordingly.
But on that same token, talking about going for it and not going for it, when I was talking about coming away with no points, my point is not to say I wanted us to kick a field goal there when we were deep in the red zone. I wanted us to go for it. We needed the points. We needed to go for it inside the 3-yard line. I just didn't like the play call. I think the right decision obviously was to go for it, and I'm glad we did. I know it didn't work out. We turned it over. I just really, really disliked the play call choice on 4th down.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of been a story the whole season, right? Like
that's
going back
indicative
to
of the whole year. I tweeted that out actually. Like there's a lot of moments in this game that kind of felt like a microcosm of this entire season.
No, yeah, I mean, you're right. That's kind of what my takeaway was too. I said it a few seconds ago, but good enough to be in it, bad enough to lose.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And we talked about last week, this team is talented enough to beat anyone. They could have beat Texas. They could have. But they're also weird enough to lose to anyone. We can lose to Baylor this week.
I mean, shoot, we almost got the ball back at the end of the game. I don't know how that duck of a pass ended up getting caught in the first place and under a 3-3-5 defense.
I was pretty drunk at that point, but yeah.
Lobbed out there and it's quacking as it's falling and he gets under the ball somehow.
Yeah, and you talk about so I was looking at I know with the way the season's gone, you guys probably aren't diving into SP Plus rankings, but could you take a guess where TCU ranks among Power 5 programs in SP Plus? Which to me is like the best way to rank teams.
Probably, I would say top 40.
26 through 34.
35th.
Yeah, somewhere up between 25 and 30.
Does it take into account what you do in the red zone?
It takes into account kind of
so number
SP 2. SP Plus is it's a predictive measure, right? They don't rate teams based on resume, which like if you're undefeated, you can be like 50th in SP Plus, but you're going to be ranked higher by media because you're undefeated, right? Right. It just means you're getting SP Plus. If you have a bad record but you're ranked pretty high, that means you've been unlucky for the most part. If you have kind of a lower SP Plus ranking but you're undefeated, you've probably been very lucky. So like going back to last year when everybody was saying, TCU's lucky. They were top 10 in RPI all season long. Well, for most of the second half of the season. So that argument didn't hold up. But going back to my question, where does TCU rank now? I got to give Ray the win here because TCU's coming in at 33rd. 33rd. And if you look at the records of teams around them, they all have 7, 8, 6 wins. There's TCU at 4-6.
Best 4-6 in the best team in the country.
So
man.
we're just talking about red zone efficiency again. We're talking about Parker's Eccles rate.
It's the margins, dude. It's like so Parker's stat, like we're 0-6 in games where it's played level, right? On Parker's did you get beat that bad? TCU doesn't get beat that bad. There's only been one game this year, K-State. Otherwise, it's played at the margins. It's converting this touchdown in the red zone. It's not throwing this interception here. It's like 1 or 2 plays. Dude, we could be 8-2 right now.
This is the opposite of this is like regression to the mean to the max compared to last year.
And I hate that argument. I'm glad you said that because like I just said, we were top 5 in SP Plus last year, meaning our record showed what we were doing on the field. Like those comebacks last year weren't lucky. They were earned.
I didn't say they were lucky. I'm saying there are bounces that went our way, and this year they're not.
You're definitely next year going to get, in the summer, a Bill Conley article saying that TCU is going to be one of the more improved teams in college football just based on SP Plus. And
you're right. And he's right about
he wrote one this summer that TCU was going to regress to the means.
Yeah, and I'm really, really frustrated because I just disagree with that because last year's wins, like, okay, yeah. Were we going to go 12-0 this year? No. But if your regression is saying, okay, they might win, like the K Ford had us at 9 wins. Right?
Yeah.
It didn't say like, oh, TC went 12-0 last year, so they're going to go 4-8 this year.
No, the regression should have been 8-4. That's what it should have been.
But that's
at the worst. At the very worst.
It's not going to be that though. Whenever something is inherently broken inside the 30-yard line or inside the 20, inside the red zone, something is just inherently broken. That's where you're seeing your
Could it
regression.
be
We're putting up good yards. We're still putting up the yards every week, but we're not converting it into points.
Correct.
Garrett, could
like
it
we
be
said
whenever you're on the goal line, you're empty and you're throwing fades into
Not
the end
good.
zone?
Dude, I wanted to throw my phone across the room. I was so frustrated.
Not once, but twice.
Twice. Oh
Wow.
my goodness.
In a game
But
you
again-
lose by 3.
So we can keep going on about this.
To that point, Ray, I'm okay with not taking the points there on 4th down, but do something different. Don't try and fit that square peg into the round hole that you just tried on 3rd down and then throw a fade again. But
so we could go
I'm
on and on
underestimating.
about this, but for the interest of time, we've been doing this seems like every single week after we lose. What do we still have left to play for? Well, a bowl's still in play.
Mm-hmm.
Beat your
And
rifle.
I'm going to, until the end of the 4th quarter of the OU game, I'm going to stick by that this team is good enough to beat anybody. So 6-6 is definitely still in the picture. But, when you look at the season as a whole, I mean, if you want to count this as a rivalry game, it's at least another game against a Texas team.
Mm-hmm.
It's another L in that column. You've now lost to Tech. You've now lost to Texas. I put K-State in the rivalry category. You got killed there. Now, you lose to Baylor, and I'm calling for heads at that point, just at least temporarily, because I'm going to be pissed off. But the way I'm looking at this Baylor game, at just the Baylor game, not the last 2 games, collectively. But if you beat Baylor, I'm really not all that happy. But if we lose to Baylor, I want to burn Fort Worth down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's not much to gain from this week unless you couple that with a win against OU, which is possible.
This kind of feels like a talk me off the ledge week. Like,
dude, the ledge is. You're looking up at the ledge.
Yeah,
You're falling.
You're right. You're exactly right.
We've gone long, and we still have some stuff to talk about in terms of Frog Ball USA. Can we jump there?
Yeah, let's get excited about another team, and then maybe they'll disappoint us too come spring. I'm kidding.
Boy,
Jacob.
you should be excited about this team.
All right.
Yeah.
We've had a couple scrimmages, and we've had a purple and white World Series going on. 2 games have been played between the inter squad games, I guess you could say, TCU baseball. One team, Team Howard, Brian Howard. One team, Team Evan Skaug. Names that you remember. They are now, grad assistants on the team. Martin, you were there.
Coaches.
Ray, you were there to watching the game. I guess we want to know highlights, things that stuck out to you, maybe players that popped. What are some things that you noticed from the first 2 games? We've got one more on Friday at 4 p.m.
I'll let Martin handle the majority of the talking here because he good at that. I will say
it's his comfort zone.
Yeah, he loved that. I will say this team can mash. My goodness. They have got some pop in that bat. Mark, take it away.
Oh, that's all you're gonna say?
He didn't want to steal your thunder.
Oh. So let's start with the bad. Due to some, I guess, little nagging injuries, Silva has not played in the Purple White series due to the Matt incident. I think they're just playing it safe. No reason for him to.
Do we need to
worse.
learn anything else about Anthony Silva this fall?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is this a short-term deal? The Matt incident, Martin?
Yeah. It's. I mean, he could play right now. It's just
Precautionary.
there's no reason for him to play. And
Right.
honestly, it's probably better if he doesn't, just so that other guys can get more reps.
Mhm.
And then we all
needs more
know.
reps at short.
So Carson, Silva, and Chatinier has not been playing either at second base, the Ole Miss transfer. So that has led to a lot of opportunities for guys that have been here, new guys, to get some playing time, and they have really showed out. I got a list of guys who have been amazing all fall, really. Sam Myers, the freshman from, I think he's the Houston area. He's
Mhm.
been playing center field, been hitting the ball really well. Brody Green has been playing shortstop and hitting the ball very well. He looks good. I think he's going to be the back, unless there is. I mean, the way he's playing, I would say there's a competition at third base. But if he doesn't win,
Between who? I'm sorry. Who are the names? The competition. Who do you got?
For third.
Either Basir or Brody Green.
Basir, Brody Green. Gotcha.
Yeah, if Basir does not win the job, then Brody Green's going to take it. If Basir wins the job, Brody's going to be the first infielder, in case somebody goes down with an injury or something. He's going to be the first one off the bench. I think he's played that well. Micah Kendricks, he's a freshman. He's been playing really well. He's been second base for the most part.
Okay.
I think he might have played a little outfield. Gabe Miranda has played pretty good too at first base. First base there is a log jam at first base with Zach Wattis, Gabe Miranda, and whoever is not catching, I think is going to be
Curtis Byrne.
Yeah, it's most
They
likely.
had Carson Bowen out there at first, standing there. Didn't really do much.
I think he played like 2 or 3 innings at first. Can't throw the ball, but it was funny. There was a strikeout, and so they throw it around, and he just like rolls the ball to second base. It's pretty funny.
Saving his arm.
Yeah. Jake Dewar has been hitting really well, and he's playing outfield. Chase Brunson, I think he's won the center field job.
Okay.
Camden Sauce.
Yeah.
I call him Sus.
SOS.
Yeah, he's played pretty good at third base as well, and he's hitting the ball really good. Some guys who started off slow but are doing better now. Ryder Robinson and Fisher Ingersoll have been playing really well.
Fisher's been hitting really well.
Yeah, in the Purple White World Series, they've really turned it on. Obviously, the guys that we know, Tolley and Curtis Byrne, have been really good, but we know they're really good. On the mound, Ben Abel has been the best pitcher on this team
He should be.
all fall. I think he might be the Friday night starter.
I'd love that. Because, we talked about TCU needs a dude. And we talked about Ben Abel could be that guy.
So remind me, what's Cole doing?
Clicker?
Oh, he's out.
Yeah,
right?
He's out. Yeah, he hasn't been pitching.
Okay.
There's been
He's
quite a.
he's not going to pitch all year.
No,
Is that?
no.
Oh,
I'm Feaster.
Oh, and Feaster. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got my name.
Cole Clicker.
Clicker has not been pitching. I don't know the extent of why he's not pitching.
Is this a concern?
I wouldn't think so.
I don't know right now.
Okay.
Can't
Something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I can't say either way. So after Ben Abel, I think the Peyton Tolley has been really good. Obviously, he's hitting home runs, but he's also pitching really well on the mound.
That's good.
Do we see Peyton Tolley? Because do we see has him as a weekend starter, or is he kind of a guy who's going to come in and eat up innings after maybe a starter gets knocked out in the second or third?
I think Peyton Tolley's roles are locked in for the year. I think he's going to DH. He's going to bat third, and I think he's going to be the Saturday starter all year.
Okay.
As far as the So if Klecker's out, Zach Morris has pitched really well.
So I heard that from
Yeah.
I caught up with Coach Scoug at the tailgate
Yeah.
Saturday, and
Yeah.
he was really high on Zach Morris, and I was like,
Yeah.
man, that's surprising.
Yeah, the people that I talk to that are there for every game, they really like Zach Morris. He has opened some eyes. We might have an all left-handed pitcher rotation.
That's interesting.
Hey,
Yeah.
Martin, you know who's really impressed me in the Purple White series? That would
Braden
be-
Sloan.
No, although he's been good too.
What do you got against
Yeah.
Braden
That dude is
Sloan,
high
Trey?
energy. No, nothing. That dude is energy. That dude's wild ass.
Yeah, he reminds me of Russ in the dugout.
He does.
Martin, you
He's
got a
definitely
question
that-
from the chat. It's from Travis. And again, thanks everybody for contributing. Makes this a lot of fun. How has the bullpen depth looked? Hard to get a read situationally in those kind of games, but some more 3-inning eaters would be nice. So
I'll start
yeah.
off because I
Go
was
for it.
just about to go there. One of the
Okay.
guys that's impressed me the most in the Purple White series has been Kyle Ayers, the transfer from Houston.
Okay.
Dude came
Really?
in,
Okay.
struck out the side in the first game, and then pitched a clean inning in on Sunday's game. That's who's impressed me the most.
Okay. Any other names?
Yeah, he's been good. I mean, I don't know if these guys are going to pitch in the bullpen or they are fighting for a midweek starter, but Chase Hoover and Braden Sloan have pitched really well. I mean, I guess one of those guys is going to have to be in the bullpen. Andrew Mosiello has come back. He kind of had a rough start to the fall, but he's looked pretty good in the Purple White. Storm Hairholzer.
Mm-hmm.
These three guys are coming back from an injury that prevented them from pitching last year. Andrew Mosiello, Storm Hairholzer, and Kidman Parker. Those guys are coming back. They're not going to be, they're knocking the rust off. They're working their way back, but they got stuff. They've got stuff.
Yes.
Cademan Parker is kind of like a guy that I'm most interested in seeing coming off of Tommy John.
Jake, you know who else is interested in seeing? The scouts that are in attendance at the Purple White, because all their radar guns go right up whenever he comes into the game.
That's interesting. Very interesting. So Cademan could be like a dark horse dude for us, talking about needing dudes on the mound.
Yeah.
Because, man, like you saw him 2 years ago. You saw his potential. He obviously needed work, but coming back from this injury, I really excited to watch him pitch. It's kind of like a high upside guy, you would say.
For sure.
You also have Luis Rodriguez coming back from an injury, although he pitched a lot last year.
It was great to hear his name that was actually on the mound. That's awesome.
Yep. One guy that I think is probably flying under the radar right now is this Blake Rogers, the transfer from Baylor. I really like him. He's got a bowling ball of a sinker. He's about 87 to 90. He pounds the lower part of the strike zone. He's the guy that you want to come in if you really need a double play. He's got a nasty slider.
Go ahead, MK.
Well, I got to see Braden Sloan pitch live, and he was opposite of A-Belt. They were just doing a scrimmage or whatever. He was impressive, but he was also wild AF. He hit 2 batters. He threw 2 to the backstop, but he scared the shit out of the guys that were batting. So I'm like, I think it could work if he can control himself.
That sounds like Garrett Wright last fall.
But a lefty, right? So, the guys they weren't swinging that well because they were scared. So I think he can do some damage, but he just got to control himself.
So
we're
go
gonna
ahead.
have a pretty dang good little team this year.
Yeah,
So, will this be the deepest TCU has been in a while, talent wise?
Yeah, probably.
they have a lot of guys who really like they're ready to start, but there's just guys blocking them.
Yeah.
Whereas we might not have had that other years. You might have some guys in the lineup where you're like, why is this guy starting? And the reason is because there's not really somebody else to come up behind him, but that's not the case this year.
Yeah, it seemed like with teams in the past, even like on our really good teams, it's like, man, I love our starting 9.
Right.
But then it's like, all right, well, Mason Hess is pretty good, I guess. But
Yeah.
who else?
Right.
You're not saying, man, I really wish this guy could get in and play, or
Free Landestoy.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to provide some information, obviously in the spring, about the team, because the outfield's brand new, right? Outside of maybe Luke, but
Maxwell.
Dude,
okay, so
can I say something
Maxwell
about
could
Luke
start.
real quick?
What's that?
Can I say something about Luke real quick? It just triggered a thought. You saying his
Yeah.
name. That's a tough son of a gun. That dude took he stole third, took the throw down on a one hop right to the face, and continued to play.
Did it hop? I don't know if it hopped. I think
I
it
think
hit him
it-
square in the face.
I thought it was one bounce and then right into that cheekbone, but it may have been dead.
He was
red
a
on
football
him.
player.
Yeah, but football players don't have Rawlings tattooed on their face.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, when he got up, you could see the laces imprinted on his cheek.
And he's also an outfielder, which I've always said outfielders are just infielders that got tired of getting hit in the face. So
So the only returning infielder is Silva. I mean, you can make an argument for first base, but then you've got Carson Bowen. So there's going to be a lot of new names, I guess, new names as starters that
a lot of new names this
we'll
year.
have to fill that in.
yeah, I can't wait for baseball. It's cool that we have so much access to like this Purple and White World Series. So Game 3 is this coming Friday at 4:00. Do I have that right?
Yep.
Correct.
I'm going to
Who's
try to make it
gonna-
out there for that one. It would be
Oh,
cool
nice.
if you're listening to this, if you can make it out there Friday, get off work a little early. It'd be cool to catch up with some listeners and watch some frog ball during a time where not much really is going well for TCU athletics. So could be a feel good day.
Maybe we can ask Kirk if we're allowed to YouTube live it or something.
Yeah.
You could do a double, just make it a TCU afternoon evening because men's basketball plays later that night.
Speaking of men's
Now,
basketball, congrats on the win tonight.
When did they play their first real game?
Yeah,
Do we know?
it's going to be
Has
a
anybody
while.
looked at the schedule?
Looking not in November.
God.
I'd say Georgetown, December 2nd.
Are
Okay,
they
I don't
good
hate
though?
that.
But they fired Patrick Ewing last year.
Yeah, they got a new coach from can't remember some school that was doing really well up in the Northeast, St. John's maybe or something like that. But it's at least a name that'll get me to watch.
Yeah,
Other
Georgetown.
than UT Rio Grande Valley.
They host Clemson
Yeah, exactly.
on 12/9. That's kind of fun.
Basketball is so weird to me because their preseason is like 2 months long.
Rematch against Arizona State, 12-16.
Okay, I don't hate that.
Yeah, we literally don't have a conference game for 2 months.
It's insane. It's insane to me.
But
All right.
why should they? Big 12's number one RPI conference, and
I'm not criticizing it. Just from a viewer standpoint, it's like, what can you really learn from playing UT Rio Grande Valley?
you build confidence.
Sure, but I mean, like we'd have teams that would go like 2-18 in conference play, but they were like undefeated in non-conference. So
That was
I mean-
women's basketball last year.
there you go. All right, anything else? Because this has been a long ass episode, but a good one. I think this was fun. I got to yell a lot. I haven't got to yell in a while.
I've got a. So what was that National Signing Day that just passed?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good point.
Oh yeah, Martin, tell your Florida State
Yeah,
theory.
I got a tinfoil hat theory. So Baseball America ranked TCU 4th in the recruiting class rankings for 2024. Perfect Game ranked them 10th.
Okay.
The last guy that they got, what was his name? Durden.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Caden Durden. So he's ranked like in the 400s, but before or the day that he committed, I looked at the rankings and TCU was 11th. They were like decimal points away from Florida State for that 10th spot. Perfect Game took forever to add him to the class to actually bump TCU up. And I think I found out why.
Okay.
So Perfect Game is doing this series where they're breaking down the top 10 recruiting classes for 2024. And Florida State was 10th at the time. They released the article as the number 10 recruiting class, but they have TCU as their 10th best recruiting class in their rankings.
Okay.
So my theory is they waited so long to add him because, one, they probably already had the article written about Florida State and they didn't want to have to scrap it and do a new one about TCU. And two, I think they think they'll get more clicks if Florida State is 10th.
Interesting.
I agree with
So-
the first one that they just didn't want to go back and rewrite the article.
Yeah, I agree with that more because I think, and this is probably a discussion for a different day, but I think TCU is a brand in baseball. But we can talk about that more later. It's way too late tonight.
That's 100% true, Jacob. We could, because I have experience from that. Just visiting Omaha, people talking about TCU, and Ray talking about not wanting to rewrite an article you've already written. I'm sure I feel that from your perspective. But fellas,
100%.
we've got the Blue Bonnet Battle on Saturday at 2:30.
God, damn,
Hey,
I'm
MS.
pissed off again.
Fellas, great episode. It was fun to chat.
That was fun.
We got a game on Saturday. Let's go win the damn rivalry and get back here next week and have some fun.
Let's do
Good
it.
work.
Go Frogs.
Go Frogs.
Go Frogs.
Go Frogs.